Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Since I started doing these weekly updates, there's been a bit of a joke in the family that the only reason that I do work around the farm is for vlog content. And well, that's not always true. And there was an instance of this week. I was sitting inside having a quiet afternoon knitting. I'd done some stuff in the morning and I just wanted to take it easy. And everyone else was out doing a farm job and they wanted me to come out because they said that it would be vlog content. And what it was moving our rodeo, the paddock bomb, around inside the chook shed. It had died. We drove it in there to jumpstart our other vehicle, and instead of jumpstarting it, it burnt the motor out and it is now not working anymore and it's not worth trying to fix. But it was quite close to the fence and in a bit of a weird spot, so we didn't want to leave it where it was. So they called me out because they wanted me to help push. Now that was too hard. It was really heavy and because of the angle, there was just no way we were going to get it to move. So in the end, we towed it with the Hilux backwards and around, and then we were able to push it in to the spot we wanted it to actually be. Now what we've done is taken the seats out, we've put a ramp up to the tailgate, and we've also removed one of the doors. So the chooks can get in it, they can get underneath it, and they can get on top. And it's a really good shelter and area for them to sit and relax during the day. The zucchini plants are going absolutely crazy. We've got so many and they go from being quite reasonable in size, and if you leave them a couple more days on the bush, they just get enormous. Since we've got so many, I've been looking at different recipes and I thought that a relish would probably be the best option for us. We always end up on the dining table with all these jars and bottles of sauces and relishes to go with our meal. So rather than a pickle or some kind of slice or something like that, we wanted something that we could preserve them and also something that we would definitely want to eat. So I found a recipe for the Thermomix, which I have tried last night. It says to leave them for 5 days before you get the actual proper taste. So I have to leave them sit for a little bit before I know if I'm happy with the recipe. I did taste it a little bit last night and it's quite zingy. I think it'll be really good on meat and with some cheese. So hopefully it works out. If it's good, I can share the recipe with you next week, and I will probably end up making more just because we still have so many and I don't want them to go to waste, and this will be a good way to be able to enjoy zucchinis year round. So this week I finished all of the sample squares for my Wonka colours, and that inspired me to do a little bit of dyeing of some of those colours as well. A few that I've done for quite a while now and with very different techniques. The first one is Snozzberries. So it is a big section of a sort of a reddish pink orange, and then a yellowy orange, a little bit of green and a little bit of purple. And each of these sections is dyed one at a time, and then I soak the whole thing to set the colour. And this is inspired by the wallpaper, where Veruca is licking the wallpaper and she has a really red tongue and she is very indignant about there being such a thing called Snozzberries. So this is it as it's dyed. You can see the colours in each of the sections. And then I like to reskein them, and this is what it turns out like when I've reskeined it. So this is how I present it and sell it. And then you can see all the colours together, and that's how it knits up more than it does as looking at the solid colours. Now I've got a few examples of things that I've knit with this. And this one is using short rows, and it makes really good use of the different colors. You can see how they come out looking really cool together. I think it's called the Picchu shawl. I'll put a link to it below. It's a free pattern. And then I've also knit it up into the Lamina wrap by Amber O'Brien. And when you do just a stripe of Snozzberries there, you can see how it comes out quite differently. The second one that I dyed up is Pure Imagination. So the inspiration for this one is the really cool room where they go and they're able to eat everything and play. So when I first dye it up, it looks like this. What I do is I roll up the wet yarn into a snail like that, and I place dye on different sections of the skein all at once. So sort of blop some here, blop some there, and then I wait a little bit, flip it over, do the same again. Then I put this into a pot and let it set as well. So very different techniques to get very different results on the yarn. And this is how it looks when it's reskeined. I think this one is really, really pretty. And by just using a few colours and mixing them the way I do on the skein, you get lots of colour variation as well as keeping that white. And it gives you really cool little pops of colour when you work it up. And in the Lamina wrap, there is, there. And I think that's really pretty. So these skeins are dyed up on latticed sock, and they are now available in the shop. You can search for them under the sock tab or via the colours and look for the Wonka colours there as well. So if I finished all of the Wonka squares, did I rip back my crochet blanket? Yeah, I did. I just couldn't not have that completed square. So I ripped it all the way back. Which ended up with only 2 colours done, and I think I'd done about 8. So I've gone back a long way in progress, but this was always going to be a very long-term project and something that I can just sit down and do in little pieces and enjoy doing and not have to worry about a deadline or anything like that. It literally is just for the process of doing it and for collecting all of my colours in a different way. So let me show you what I've done to redo the blanket so far. So I had done quite a bit, ripped it back, and instead of now doing millions of tiny pieces as my third colour, I now have wildflowers as my third colour, and then that is flowering gum and chalk berry. So what I'm going to do now is make sure that I do have all of my sample squares done before I put any into the crocheting, and also try and make sure that I have enough of each colour to do at least 1 row of colour, if not a double, so I go back and forth. I'd like to have it sort of more complete than scrappy if I can. And I have some spare yarn on a few different bases that I'm not going to be selling. So what I can do is, if that I want a colour, I should be able to pop that in the dye pot and just do that and have my own little stash of my own colours that I'm not going to sell. What I've spent most of my time on this week though has been more spinning. I've done another 3 colours on the coloured woolen fibre kaleidoscope box. It's quite addictive. I think just seeing how the colour comes out once you start to really spin with it and play with it, and seeing the progression and the box emptying out as well. So I'm really still enjoying it. I think the changing of the colours quite regularly is keeping my interest up, and it's also a good amount to spin in one sitting. So I can prep the fibre and then I can sit and pretty much spin in one go in front of the air conditioning and the TV, and then put it aside for a little while and come back and do another one. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.